All right, everybody. All right, come on in, come on in. All right, everybody, come on in. So sorry to keep you all waiting. I was on an important phone call, but welcome back to the Wives Club. For anybody new here, hi, I'm Maggie, the substitute teacher, and I created the Wives Club in 2021 with the blessing of the late, great Kevin Samuels. So I see you, Metatron, on Instagram. So in case anybody doesn't know, I was part of Kevin's Patreon, and I actually booked a session with him. I was one of the ones who booked a session with the late, great Kevin Samuels because I was always convicted whenever I would hear him say, "Where are the older women to teach the young?" And you all know I'm a boy mom, and I just have a heart for younger women. I don't have daughters or sisters, a lot of men in my family. So in that session that I booked with Mr. Kevin Samuels, it wasn't for me. I always say, I know I'm happily average, but I wanted to help, and I wanted to offer a woman's perspective to what he was teaching, because I didn't see what all the fuss was about when people were so upset with him. He was just speaking like a man. And so I asked if I could create a community inside his Patreon. I think I shared this once. He actually asked if I would do it like a pre-show before his show, but I didn't have a channel. Who am I? I'm just a mom in Atlanta. And so for the better part of 2 years, every week in the Patreon, his private Patreon, it's still there. You all can go support the family and enroll in his Patreon. We would get together as women, former wives, current wives, and future wives, because Kevin used to say, and I believe, that you are a wife before you're married. Being married, being a wife is a mindset. And so we would review his content, and we would share from our own lived experience. And so we did it privately for a couple of years. And then when, unfortunately, he passed, we moved it to first the Patreon, and then the mix on Facebook, and then on YouTube. So you all can find the Wives Club channel. And what I do now is whenever Kevin's channel makes content, I like to react to it and just give a woman's perspective if it's helpful. So hopefully that answers the question. You're welcome, Metatron. Okay, so what I do is Kevin's channel just posted a new episode. And so I've taken some notes. This is what we would do. We would take notes, and then we would basically react to it. Sorry for the music. So let me find my clips here, and I'm going to go through it. And then, like I always do, I love to hear what you all say in the comments. The name of this episode was, "Are Modern Women Like the Hulk?" And so I just put angry and unhappy. And this one really struck a nerve with me. All right. Yes, come on in, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. Let's see who we see here. Dr. Steele is here. Hi, Maggie. Hello, sir. Happy New Year, everyone. Glenn is here. Thank you so much for being here. And Dr. Steele says, I watched a little bit of that Kevin Samuels video last night or the night before. Yeah, so this was, I believe, on Friday. They always do it. The family is still running his channel, and they always do it. I think it's the first Friday of every month. So once a month, you all will see me here. But if you like this content, and we've had other wives on, but Kevin changed my life, and I'm determined to keep his name and his legacy alive. So that's what we do here. All right, everybody. So let me scroll back. I got lots of clips here. So let me scroll back. So like I said, this one really touched me when the question was, why are modern women either happy or angry? And, funnily for me, if you all don't know me, I grew up in an immigrant family. And so my upbringing was different. I just came back from Ghana. And the way I was raised to be a wife, the expectation that nothing is given to you, that you work hard, that I'm not a pampered princess. I consider myself a late bloomer. I'll be 50 this year. And I was thinking about this a lot. The first time my father told me I was beautiful was on my wedding day. And I was married at 25. And I just say that to say, these young women, especially that are told you're perfect, you're a 10, there's nothing to work on, it's not helping you, because then you get out here in the real world and then your experiences don't line up with the story that you've been told. I was told, Maggie, you are smart. I was told, Maggie, you're an African girl. And when my dad saw me in my wedding gown, he was like, oh, Maggie, you're so beautiful. So it took 2.5 decades to hear that. And I'm grateful for that upbringing because it changed me in a way that I don't expect anything. I have an amazing relationship that I work very hard to maintain. And so the reason why a lot of modern women, in my opinion, are angry is I heard it said before, anger is really disappointment, like magnified. So that means modern women are really disappointed. And disappointment, I remember my pastor at marriage counseling said the difference between, he was a pilot or something in the Air Force, and he said the difference between expectation and reality, that difference is disappointment. So I think a lot of women, modern women, are disappointed, and that disappointment turns into anger because they have an expectation that life is just going to lay all of these rewards at their feet. You're going to walk in the door and meet a man, and he's going to change your life forever, and you don't have to do anything but just show up. That's not the real world. And so I think that's why I think a lot of modern women are upset. And Kevin said that as well in this episode. He talked about humility a lot and having humble beginnings, not coming from anything and having to work hard for everything. It gives you a grit, and it gives you a character, and it gives you an appreciation that my man said a lot of modern women, they just don't appreciate anymore. All right. So let's see what you all are saying in the chat. Hello, Kay Renee is here. Next level says, uh-oh, hey, Miss Maggie, did you cool off from yesterday? Apologies, y'all. Had some outbursts yesterday. I was just very frustrated. So yes, I have cooled off. He says, I hope not, turn up the heat. Lucy and I did an episode yesterday, and I did a little bit of tough love because I'm very frustrated, but I am not going to allow it to change me. I want our women to win. I want women to be happy. But I accept not everybody will win. And I accept some people are going to go with weeping and gnashing of teeth and kicking and screaming. And I don't say that happily, but I am not going to let other people's bad decisions rob me of what I have worked so hard for. And that's a joy and a peace in life. So every once in a while, I have outbursts. I think it was also because just coming back from Ghana, and when you're in a developing country and you see there is no confusion about, do we need men? There is no confusion about what men are good at and what women are good at. There's no confusion about family and the importance of legacy and knowing who you are and where you come from. Just coming here, it was almost like being in a virtual reality. So I had a couple outbursts yesterday. So some of y'all liked it. Hello, Sabrina's here. Kay Renee says so true. And you all agree? Okay, wonderful. So I see you all, and thank you for all of your comments. Okay, so let me go into what Kevin said. So that was the first question. And it was funny. He said, I think this was the aftermath of the average at best clip that went viral. And for me, that average at best was the first time that I heard Kevin Samuels too. I've heard that story. I've told that story before, and I heard it, and I kind of looked and I was like, who is that? And who is he talking to? And what is he saying? And I went to my man and I was just kind of like, do you know about this guy named Kevin Samuels? He's like, oh yeah, babe, he's been giving it to the men for years. And I couldn't get enough. I went down the rabbit hole. But that was a clip from an episode. And, Kevin was adamant about you really had to watch all of his content. People would come to critique him and they had just seen a part of it. And in that whole episode, he was talking about another topic. And this woman called in. She wasn't willing to pay the price to book a session to be able to talk to him one-on-one like I did. And I'm not saying there's anything great about me, but you don't just kick down the door and say, I'm here, so you're going to do things my way. Ladies, that's masculine. It's disrespectful. So she was already kind of, annoying him. And she asked for feedback. She asked for him to rate her. And he's like, that's not what we're doing today. And she insisted. So that's where the whole average at best came from. And then people, ran kicking and screaming into the night. But he was like, but you asked me. The clip said, that was a solicited critique. So ladies, don't ask a question if you don't want the answer. To me, that's just common sense. I don't look for trouble because you're going to find it. All right. All right. So that was one thing. So this was another piece where Kevin was talking about facts, data, and statistics. And so I think this was his unscientific poll where he asked on one of his pages if modern women were unhappy. And I believe 80% of women and over 90% of men said, yes, modern women are unhappy. So ladies, to me, not only is that an overwhelming majority, but here's the cheat code, ladies. If most women are showing up unhappy and miserable, would you not stand out by just being pleasant? Would you not stand out by just smiling when you greet someone? Would you not stand out by making eye contact and just engaging in a conversation? I think this is a huge piece of low-hanging fruit that a lot of modern women miss, especially ladies. If you're married or you have a man, there is no reason why he should experience all that out in the world and then come home to somebody, bitter and unruly. With my man, I am, I stand up to greet him, I compliment him, I'm, pleasant. Even if I'm having a bad day, I work on ways to self-soothe and to bring my own self back to center so that I can be pleasant for him. Why would you expect a man to crawl over broken glass and swim over shark-infested water for you to maybe, kind of give him, a side eye? Thank you, Suave D, for the $5. You all are so generous. Thank you so much. Happy New Year, everybody. Hello, Dirk is here. Thank you so much. Okay, so survey says the overwhelming majority of modern women are unhappy. So ladies, as I always say, ask yourself, if you wake up miserable every day, if you're crunchy every day, if you go from 0 to 10 every day, if you just can't get right, why is that? And I'm so grateful, now for humble beginnings and knowing who I am and knowing who I am not. There's a reason I say I'm happily average, because I don't walk out here expecting people to just bow at my feet. Ladies, if you walk into a room and, I'm not a knockout, you're not a knockout. People don't turn and crane their head to look at us. You're average. So get the best average life that you can. That's what I did. And never been happier. Thank you all so much. Dirk says, the problem is they recognize they're unhappy and just continue to blame men. Yes, Jay Campbell wants to know what this is. Maybe you'll figure it out. I'm responding to Kevin Samuels. Hello, Rebecca. You love this YouTube sweater, y'all. YouTube sent me an ugly sweater, and I was like, you know what? Before I put it away, let me go ahead and use it. All right, so let's continue on. So one of the questions that Kevin asked is, do you believe that women were happier 70 years ago? And I thought about this. I wasn't around 70 years ago, but when times were simpler and we didn't have as much, I want to say yes. However, I asked my man, and I'll tell you all what he said. But, funnily enough, coming from Ghana, or when you go to places where people don't have all the modern conveniences that we have, it's interesting that even in, if you would say, impoverished or places where people are struggling, all I saw were smiles. Yes, people were living kind of like off of the land. And yes, people were, having a simple life, but they were happy. They were dancing. They were welcoming. They were just, it was wonderful. So, we talk about it all the time, how unfortunately for us, a lot of modern women are entitled. And I don't know if that's a modern thing or if that's just the nature of women. And I'll tell you what my man said, ladies, buckle up. It's not going to be pleasant. Hello, he is here. Okay, so ask yourself, are you angry? Are you unhappy? Have you gotten that feedback? Ladies, do people see you and say, what's wrong with you? That's some feedback for you. I'm going to tell you, I hate to say it, but it's true. I have grown up and I have had people ask me why I'm so happy. I actually had somebody that I used to work with. I come in the office, good morning. Ain't nobody that crunk in the morning. So, I would just kind of take that feedback like, okay, don't know what happened to you. But funny now in my older age, that's what people are drawn to is because I am pleasant, because I'm genuinely happy. And I get feedback all the time. People make comments. Somebody, I think the latest one was, that my advice does not it's not realistic because I've only had two experiences, a young love and then a marriage. And, it's just like, that's not, most people who date. Well, that's fine. I mean, this is my perspective. This is me speaking from my own lived experience. So if it's helpful, great. If not, then honestly, find somebody that you can relate to. Find somebody that you can relate to. All right. If it's not me, I accept that. Okay, so let us continue on. Oh, I was going to tell you what Mister said. So I asked him, I was like, babe, do you think that women were happier 70 years ago? And he said, no, but women were more appreciative 70 years ago. And that just kind of broke me, especially as a boy mom. You all know how I feel about how much men have to suffer and go unappreciated. And because of the modern conveniences, ladies, because you can pick up this device and call whatever you want, or you just plug something in the wall and it just works, you have forgotten how much men have done before you got there. And that's what my man said. He said, especially in developing countries where there's still a lot of building to be done, there's still a lot of work to be done. It is crystal clear who is built for it and who is not. It is crystal clear, like I said, what men are good at and what women are good at. And we partner up. And like Kevin said, we are better together for life. So I think a lot of women in the modern world, because it's so easy now to just exist, you look at men as they're disposable. I do not. I never have, and I never will. So just keep that in mind. And so I asked him, I said, why do you think, this one's going to hurt too, ladies. I said, why do you think women are not happy? And he said, it's because we're close to children. So ladies, get upset if you want to. That's how my man talks to me. But he said he believes in the hierarchy, right? God, man, woman, child, pets. And I was like, oh my goodness. But he said, that's that thing in us as women. He was like, think about the kids, Maggie. Like if you give them, whatever they want for Christmas or whatever, they're still going to want more. We're never satisfied women. So ladies, you have to know that that is our nature. Maybe that's just who we are. So you have to be intentional about course correcting that. You have to appreciate your man. You have to work with him within his, system, his budget, his lifestyle. You have to be agreeable. You have to get on the program. If you want a relationship, if you want to do your own thing, nobody's going to fight you to be single, but you have to appreciate what you have, because the truth is, ladies, we're not willing to do it. Because when we start talking all that mess, you know what the men are going to say? Fine. Go do it yourself. And that's what a lot of them are saying. All right. So let us continue on. All right. So we talked about women. Are we angry? Are we unhappy? A big thing that Kevin said in this episode is that we lack humility. And we've talked about that. And he defined humility as an accurate estimation. Ladies, if you understand statistics, the bell curve, if you believe in science or anything, there has to be a middle and there has to be extremes on each side. All right. So everybody can't be a 10. It's just statistically impossible. So these young women that are being raised to think that you're perfect, to think that you can't take any feedback, that nobody can correct anything about you, nobody can tell you anything, you're just going to find yourself alone. Because what did he say? Like if you rate yourself a 10, then who is average? Somebody has to be average. And like I say, I'm happily average, but Ladies, look at your life and look at the outcomes that you're getting. And Kevin said this in this episode, and my man has said this too. He said, when we were coming up, people knew where they ranked and they paired up with their equal, if you will, right? So what we have now is a lot of average women trying to reach for exceptional. And I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell some secrets. I'm not going to name any names, but for the men that happen to be listening, and Kevin said this too in this episode, most women know what they qualify for. They just don't like what they qualify for. Men know what they qualify for because life reinforces that every day. And they're told, oh, she's out of your league. Man, you can't afford that. Men get that feedback all the time. And it's time for us ladies to start getting that tough love and that feedback, because we're not helping ourselves by being delusional about what we qualify for. So what Kevin said is, he used the example of George Jefferson and Wheezy, right? And then you build young and you grow together. What you have is women wanting to be there at the finish line after a man has made himself, and that's not going to fly. My example, somebody that I grew up with, neither of us had anything, but both small town kids. And then you grow and you build together, and now life can be very comfortable. But I had to be on the program and show that loyalty and work with his timeline. And now he's able to do a lot more than he was before. But there's nothing that you can rush. There's nothing that you can expedite. And so what my man has said, ladies, if you know you're also a small town girl, or you come from, the projects or whatever it is, of course, you can dream, you can want whatever you want, but you need to pair up with somebody that has the same ambition as yourself from your area. So if you're a small town girl and you're, in the beta club or whatever, find another small town guy that has the same, that you can relate to each other in the beta club. And then you all do the best that you can together. It's just very rare. And Kevin said it in this episode where men can jump into other arenas with resources, but we women, we can't. Our currency is our youth, is our femininity, and it's being agreeable and getting on the program. And ladies, you have a very limited window when that will work for you. You're not going to be able to spend a decade or 2 decades doing whatever you want and then say, oh, now I'm ready to find somebody to just travel with. I hear that all the time. And honestly, I'm sick of it. It's not going to happen. These women are asking for the type of treatment that you get after being there and giving a man a legacy for a lifetime and showing loyalty. Because if you're just going to show up and think you're going to have that yacht life, you'll collect a trip and then he'll leave you back where he found you. So yeah, that's hopefully it's helpful. But the secret is, I have heard women say, I don't come from that. I've never been exposed to money like that. And they let those shiny things lure them into something that is destructive, because they're not really looking at, is this a relationship for the long haul? They just get dangled with the shiny new toy, and then they make ridiculous decisions, and they got a lifetime of regret. So know who you are, know where you come from, do the best in your arena, get out of the dating market and go live a life. All right. Kay says that's so true. All right. Thank you so much, Ronaldo. All right. So let's go on. All right. So one of the things that Kevin said, he said, yes, link up where you are. So ladies, like my man says, like TLC says, swim in the rivers and lakes that you're used to. Stop trying to jump into other arenas where you don't know how to carry yourself. You don't come from that. You don't know how these people move. I mean, don't do that, ladies. Hello, Cecil. Oh, thank you for the support. I appreciate that. Okay, so link up with the best that you can with where you are. And Kevin said that in this episode, ladies, you know the type of men that approach you, all right? Do the best that you can to show up, what did he say, as pretty as possible and as fit as possible. And I always put myself on the hot seat. Y'all know I love the snacks, so I have to be mindful of that. But show up in a way that's going to get you the best of what you qualify for. All right. Listen to the men. We've already had the conversation about the fake everything. They don't like that. If you want to do it, fine. Do your own thing. But don't wonder why you are being overlooked for somebody that's more plain, somebody that is more consistent, somebody that they know this is what she looks like every day, not just on the days when I'm taking her out somewhere. He also talked about tacking on these degrees and fillers. And like I said, a lot of women sometimes are modern women are chasing the things that make them happy in the moment, our big jobs, our big degrees, being flued out and all this ridiculous stuff. But the older I get, this is a big year for me. I'll be 50 this year. So let's say I live to be 100, God willing. I'm on the decline now. And I'm thinking really intentionally about where I spend my time and who I spend my time with, and being intentional. And what really matters over the course of a lifetime is family and legacy, and having that meaningful relationship, having somebody that's emotionally invested in you. So I get feedback that I don't have a lot of dating experience, but you know what, I'm going to say this, ladies, I don't think we're built to have a lot of dating experiences. So many women come to me after they've been doing whatever they want to do for however long they want to do it, and they do not have relationship skills. Kevin said in this episode, you have met the man, you have met him, and you blew it because you all have been monkey branching from this person flying you out to this person taking you on $700 dinners to this person paying bills for you in a place that you can't afford, and this person. So you get to the ripe old age of 30 something, 40 something, whatever, and you don't know what it's like to just be consistent. You don't know what it's like to just be a support system. You don't know what it's like to just have beautiful silent moments. You don't always have to be doing stuff. It doesn't have to be like this. You think a relationship is we're always traveling, we're always doing stuff. That's not real. So yes, you can criticize me for not having a lot of dating experience, but what I do have is a lot of relationship experience. And I think over the long haul, that's better. Let's see what Cecil says. Met my husband at work, started from the bottom and built up. Everything means so much more to us now after the struggle. Amen to that. I love that. There's nothing like a couple that's been through it and they're sticking together. Man, try if you want to. Oh, my thoughts are freedom says, I can't say this enough. It's a pleasure hearing from what we called an old school, a traditional woman. I wish more were out here. Thank you, Miss Maggie. Oh, thank you for saying that. Yes. Cecil says, we weren't built to be promiscuous. And look, ladies, you don't have to listen to me. If you think you need a garden tool phase or what these other women are doing, find them when they're my age. Didn't Kevin Samuel say that? What do you want life to look like when you're 50 and 60? When you've been ran through and you've done all these things, now then those women are looking for somebody to marry them. Now these women are looking for somebody to take them seriously. Well, you didn't take yourself seriously, so why should anybody else? Especially when he's built something? Lindbergh says, I've encountered 40 to 50-year-old women with the mindset of a teenage girl. That's the problem. That's why I'm here, trying to be the older women teaching the young. All right. So Kevin said, as pretty as possible and as fit as possible. So yes, ladies, I've always told on myself, I thought all those, big jobs and big degrees mattered. They don't. In the course of a lifetime, they don't. It's a great gold star moment. It's an accomplishment for you. That's fine. But what really matters is the family that you have and the family that you create and the legacy that you build together. Oh, we got pills, potions, and poison says, nah, I never did that garden tool phase. It's not necessary. Agreed, ladies. I mean, what does it get you? A bunch of experiences, and then you're always looking at your man like, well, so-and-so did it this way, and so-and-so did it this way. And then you're tortured because you don't know how to just be a good woman to a good man. Okay. Thank you, pills, potions. I appreciate that, sweetheart. Suave D says, are there any other femininity content creators you follow and maybe look up to? There used to be. And that's all I'll say. Mega says, fit, feminine, and friendly. Absolutely. All right. So let's continue on. So Kevin said, be as fit as possible and as pretty as possible, because ladies, regardless of what you think about yourself, the men are still ranking us. And the men are ranking us because life ranks them. Okay. Men know. That's where the term comes from. Oh, she's out of my league. These things didn't just come out of thin air. They meant something. He used the car example in this video, talking about a man buying, wanting to have like a Lamborghini or some luxury car, but he knows he can't afford that. So he's going to get the best, most reliable Toyota or Nissan or Honda that he can, right? Absolutely. So men are still ranking us. So if you want a relationship with a man, that's why this is the wives club. If you want to be single forever, fine. Go do the Golden Girls thing. Nobody is going to stop you. Cecil says biblical femininity content is Christian traditional wives being quiet, peaceful, and raising their children. Yeah. I mean, look, ladies, you have to find what speaks to you. It does not have to be me, but I know my strengths and I just speak from my own lived experience. Tara says, what matters is that bear hug from the back while he's sleeping. Exactly. Oh, thank you guys. I'm glad this is helpful. Yeah, I'm telling you, there's no feeling like knowing that you are covered and protected. I wish that for every woman, but I understand not everybody's going to get it. And I'm okay with that. All right. So he said, evaluate yourself. And, funnily enough, Kevin said in this episode, the feminists don't look happy. I don't really talk about feminists here. I say, do what you want to do. Y'all know what I'm going to do. But if you all saw, there's a clip of me that I was on a panel, feminine women versus feminists. And go look for yourself and ask yourself, or look at the feminists that you encounter, the ones that are bra burning and telling the men what they're not going to do. And, all these going down with their fist in the air. Do they look happy? Would you trade places with them? These are the questions that I ask myself. Before I listen to anybody, I look at their life and I say, would I want to swap places with them? Do I want what they have? And if the answer is no, keep it moving. All right. The pink pill says, thank you. I took Kevin's advice and I'm dating a man wealthy in character and finances. Oh, I love that. I love that you're spreading Kevin's message. Keep it up. Oh, thank you all so much. Yeah, he changed my life. And I am so grateful to have been able to speak to him one-on-one. I've asked the family if they can get my consult because he did record it. So hopefully they will respond. But yes, Kevin changed my life. And like I said, I've been doing this since 2021. The first couple of years were private in the Patreon, so I know it's new to some people, but we've been going like 4 years now, and I'm so grateful for his message. Absolutely. We have Ayo says, can a single mother teach a boy how to be a man? No. When you all grown up, your mother look you in the eye and say you're not a man because he was never in the household. I don't know about that part, but no, you cannot teach a boy to be a man. You all know I am a boy mom. And after 10 years of marriage, unfortunately for me, it did end in divorce because that modern woman mindset, even though I had a traditional upbringing. So I had to get on the program second time around, and I'm happier than I've ever been. But 2 teenagers, and the boys actually live with their father now that they're teenagers. And it was hard and a check to my ego to realize I can't do everything. I'm just mom. And I try to be a great mom, but I absolutely cannot raise a man. And even though we're divorced, we co-parent really well. And the boys are the better for it. Marcus is signed for the Marines and Alex is going to go in the service right after them. And their dad teaches them things and shows them tough lessons that I would want to fix for them. So no, a woman cannot raise a man, even the best of us. All right. So hopefully that helps. Okay, so we talked about feminists. Ask yourself if you would trade places with them. Do they look like they're happy? Kevin said the queens of average have the most to say. Ugh. All right, so I'm just scrolling through my notes here. The kind of men that we want are ranking us. We've talked about that, ladies. And Kevin said we don't like what we qualify for. So the truth is, we know who we are. We know where we come from. That would be like me trying to be somebody's trophy. No, I'm just a small town girl, humble beginnings, but I'm very grateful for what I have. I like that, rich in character and finances. All right, so Kevin talked about the statistics. Even the women were arguing the statistics. You can't help everybody. When people just want to not use common sense, just let them be. Just let them be. I love this. Kevin said men run to happy women. So if you all have been following my travel content, which is totally fine if you haven't, I have an editor. His name is 10 Plus Sounds, and he's actually in Ghana. So I was able to meet him. He's worked on my channel and a lot of people's channels. And I am always amazed at how many men I have in my spaces, because I always thought, I would be, my audience would be just moms like me. But he said, Maggie, you have a calmness about you. And I've admitted that I've had to work on this. I got feedback that I shout when I speak. I got feedback that, I could do better in certain areas. So I've worked really hard on that. And he said, men are naturally drawn to that calming presence. So I love that when Kevin said, men run to happy women. And I don't say this to brag, but ladies, if you want the attention of the kind of men that you want, how are you showing up in their spaces? How are you showing up? Are you showing up as somebody who's all over the place, can't get right, nothing's ever good enough, you always got something to complain about? Or do you bring a peace? Are you happy? Do you leave them better than you found them? Is there like a quiet joy about you? That in itself is so attractive to men, even if it's not like a love thing, but men are just drawn to that. And I think that's a wonderful thing. That's actually something that I've learned, right? Goose says women shouldn't be ashamed of being average. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happily average. Absolutely. To my man, I'm, above average, obviously, but there's nothing wrong with it. Yes, it's absolutely okay. Because Kevin said men can't fix an unhappy woman, and they're not going to. They're not going to stop what they're doing to make sure that you keep a smile on your face. And I think that's the problem. A lot of modern women are expecting men to care a lot more about their feelings. And I've said this in a previous stream, ladies, your man wants to keep the smile on your face. He doesn't want to have to put a smile on your face. So you have to come with that. You have to sort out whatever you've got going on and then come into the relationship with good intent. And it's amazing how much men want to return to that, right? I understand, G. Yes, absolutely. There's so many reasons. Okay. So we've talked about this, and then women want to talk about men and calling them dusty and all of these things. Ladies, it's not helping you. And I said this in yesterday's stream. Those of you who think you're going to get men from other communities, in Ghana, my tourist guide said that this was solicitation season because we have all these American women coming and they think they're going to get, Ghanaian men. He's like, we're not choosing you. I was like, dang, y'all, the men are ruthless. When men feel like they can speak freely, y'all, buckle up. But he said, the women come and all they do is complain about American men. So if you're one of those women, men ain't, what? Men are dusty. Men are broke. Someone was on here yesterday saying, well, it sounds like she had a narcissist. I'm going to tell you what my man said. Why does a narcissist have access to you? So ladies, you've got to take some responsibility for the choices that you made. You decided to be with him. You decided to have a baby with him. You got to answer for that, right? Daughter of Yah says, average lady over here. Yeah, shout out to Team Average. I'm loving it. Anyway, let's continue on. Okay. He said we were calling men dusty and we were talking down on men, but the men are doing better than us. The men have more income, more stability, but even though we are average, we look at our counterparts, we look at our peers and call an average man dusty because we think even though we are average, we qualify for somebody who is high value or somebody who's some type of millionaire. I don't like to use the word delusional, but it really is foolishness, ladies. And so this message and this tough love is necessary because Kevin said in this episode, if you listen to the people who only tickle your ears, you will waste another year. And I'm seeing that. I mean, you all see them, whether it's on social media or whether it's in the pulpit or whether it's out here in the world, when people are telling you, you're great. He didn't understand you. Just, you need somebody who really, knows you. And if he loves you, he would do all this. It's not helping you because you're still perpetually single. And then you take that behavior to the next man and you expect him to, bow down at your feet. It's completely out of order and it's not going to work, right? Ebenezer is here watching from Ghana, Akwaba, and Mati for me over here. You have 2 daughters and also divorced. So this is great content for you to help train your girls. Oh, that just warms my heart. I'm coming back home. I'm coming back home in December. So if you all want to travel with me, stay tuned. I think I put the link in the description. We're having an interest meeting, so you can go to the link in the description. But yeah, I'm going back to Ghana. I'm going to try and go every year. It was amazing. Okay. So yes, ladies, look at the feedback that you're getting. If you are with an echo chamber, which just means you say something and the people that you're talking to, yeah, you go girl, they cheer you on. They give it right back to you. They're not giving you that tough love of a father, that tough love of an older woman or a mother. If they're telling you everything is great, you are ill prepared for a relationship, because in a real relationship, you're going to get feedback all the time. And oftentimes you're going to need to do better. And how do you respond to that? That says a lot. So we talked about Wheezy and we talked about George. And Kevin said in this episode, most women would want George Jefferson at the end, once he had the dry cleaning business, once he had the deluxe apartment in the sky, right? Most women are ready. The women that I talk to, it's ridiculous. They want to show up for a ready-made man and then be, on his arm. It's not going to happen. You just stay single. The pink pill says, please do more content like this. We need women to look up to in the generations before us. So many older women never have good things to say about men. Thank you for the $5. That just breaks my heart. So yes, if you all are new, I'm Maggie, the substitute teacher. I have to pace myself because this content can really take a toll on you. But I do feel a calling. And that's why I had that consultation. I booked a session with Kevin Samuels because whenever he would say that, it would just get me. I don't know about you all, but I felt like I could be over here in my cul-de-sac, living my life. Because Kevin said that the good ones are quiet. Why should most women who have built a happy life stop what they're doing to help the women who just can't get out of their own way? They shouldn't. You are responsible for your own, but as a mother or mother figure, I definitely want to be as helpful as I can to the women who are willing to do the work and the women that are able to do the work, because the ship has sailed for a lot of women, and I think they know that, and it makes me sad. But thank you so much, the pink pill. So again, if you all are new to me, Maggie, the substitute teacher, I'm actually pulling back my streaming a little bit. My man has asked me to take some days off. So my cooking content will be on Mondays and Fridays, and my femininity or relationship content with Lucy will be on Wednesdays and Saturdays. So I think I put it in the banner if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. So I react to Kevin's content. I'm doing that today because once a month they put out new content. And so I want to give you all a woman's perspective, but I'm glad that it's helpful. Goose says that Kevin was always pointing out there's a bar valuable to men and he doesn't need to move. Not sure if I understand, but thank you. Thank you so much. So yes, I'm here until I'm not. I've got a couple kids to get up out of the way. And then Mr. Man said, let's wrap it up. All right. Okay. So he was talking about the game Monopoly in this episode. And he was talking about how in this board game, which kind of relates to the game of life, you have opportunities to basically buy a property and get out of the game. But a lot of women, they meet that man, they even meet him in their prime, but they think, or they've been told, oh, another one will come. Oh, you can do better than that. And then, they run out at the end. And Kevin said 35 is the end. I'm not going to argue with science, but ladies, is it impossible? No. Is it going to be very hard for you? Yes. The best way to get a wealthy man, if that's what you all want, is to be there before he has his wealth. That's what I did. It's going to be really harder for you to jump in once he's made himself, because he is not tolerating anything. Believe me. Dr. Steele says women saying that men aren't, are just using that as a defense mechanism. They are similar to the incels. Incels hate women because of their rejections. Yeah, I don't really feel like I have a place to speak to men, but yeah, ladies, you could say men aren't, as much as you want to. Just be prepared to be alone. I mean, that's what's going to happen. No man is going to hear you talk about another man in that kind of way and then say, that's the woman for me. And I'm saying this as a divorcee. I have nothing but respect for my ex-husband. We have family meetings every week when the boys are here. We check in on each other. How would I look talking poorly about the man who gave me a legacy? And, I still have his name, raised his children. He covered me as long as we were married. Even though we are divorced, When the boys are here and they're giving me lip, he's like, don't do that to your mother. She's talking to you. Like, how can I not be respectful to that? And how can I expect any other man to look at me with honor when I dishonor my ex-husband? Yeah, ladies, you got to do better. Suave D says, I appreciate you, Maggie. Even as a man, I can still learn something from women like you. Thank you so much. You all are so generous today. I appreciate it. Goose says there is a bar for valuable men. Yes, absolutely. All right, let's continue on. All right, so we talked about knowing your lane. We talked about men live in reality because life checks them every day. Kevin said there is no Hollywood ending, ladies. You're going to do the work. You're going to do it now or you're going to do it later. There is no pretty woman. There is no Prince Charming. The cavalry is not coming. Nobody is coming to save you. All right, so you got to decide, work early or work later. I would say work early when you're built for it. All right. Oh, let's see. Go with the high end of what approaches you. Yes, ladies, you know the caliber of men that you qualify for because that's what approaches you. So pick the best of that and get out of the dating market. Kevin talked about other women being more realistic, and I do see this in other cultures. I do see this in other countries and maybe in other generations. And Kevin talked about that in this episode. You know, those of us that I wasn't homecoming queen. I wasn't any of that stuff. I was that nerdy, quirky African girl that everybody knew in school. Like, I didn't expect to be dating the star football player or whatever. Like, that's just, I guess you can wish upon a star if you want to, but you'll just keep wishing. Don't you want something real? I would think we want something real. So we know if we're an 8, 9, or a 10, but we have been told that we can have it all. And that's the problem. And we can't. You have to choose, ladies. You have to choose. So men do that. Men get the best of what they qualify for. So if men qualify for an average woman, he's going to get the best average woman. You all know that you would laugh a man out of the establishment if a man that you thought was beneath you approached you. You all love shaming them and making a mockery of them. So that's why men hesitate, and that's why they, approached cautiously, because they're going to pay the price for that. They have to really make sure. And Kevin said that if you listen to this whole episode, it was about 2 hours. Towards the end of the episode, he spent a lot of time talking to the women, but he was like, men, make sure you're doing your 60 hours a week. Men, make sure that you have built yourself to where you can keep your woman in her feminine space. Men, he was admonishing the men. And I hear women say that all the time. Well, what about the men? And what about this? Why are you with a man who is not relationship ready? Why are you choosing a man that's obviously not serious? And that's what I mean, ladies, you have to be accountable for the decisions that you make. If you don't know how to choose if a man is husband material, Lucy and I do have a course. It's called Wife Lessons. You can take it on demand, but we talk about this. We talk about how to know if somebody is just here for fun or if somebody's serious. It's a 4-week course, but you can go to teachablemomentswithmaggie.com and enroll. But just because you like someone doesn't mean he's going to be a good life partner, doesn't make him a good husband, doesn't even make him a good man. You know how many bad people are attractive? Men know how many bad women are attractive. Hopefully you're not one of them. Ayo says it's true. Oh. Yeah, Goose says that I thought it interesting that Kevin brought out that Black women use intimacy as a weapon and other women use it as a comfort. Yeah, I didn't hear that in this stream, but ladies, that's a beautiful expression of love in marriage and in relationship. But I think overall, our modern culture, Lucy and I have been, screaming about this from the mountaintops, is stop using your intimacy as a weapon, as a tool, because that's what you will be used for. So you just have to make peace with that. All right. So let's get back to what Kevin said. He said that, men are attracted to women that are happy, women that have a lightness about them, women that have a joy about them. And ladies, if that's not you, you don't have to be an extrovert like me, never met a stranger, talking to everybody, but are you pleasant? What is the reaction when you come into a space? Do you see people light up to see you, or do you see people like, oh my God, here she comes again? You've gotten that feedback. Maybe you haven't paid attention to it. Maybe you just don't care. But life is telling you how you show up. And so that is your answer. And you can decide if you want to do something about it or not. Mega says a lot of these women think just because a man will sleep with them that he values them enough to be in a relationship with them. I have seen it over and over and over again. So, ladies, let me say this. A man who has no interest in you will have intercourse with you. That's just the truth. Because men are the ones who get rejected over and over and over. So if someone gives them a yes, they're going to take advantage of that yes. So that's why, ladies, you have to use discernment. And that's why you have to wait and not jump into things just because you like somebody or think that your bedroom skills are going to win him over. I'm going to tell you something else that's going to hurt. I've talked to the men, the type of men that we want, and they'll say, it's pretty much all the same. It's tragic to hear, but ladies, let me rip that Band-Aid off. If you really think you're that exceptional, you are not. What makes it exceptional is when there's a real love there, when there's a real connection there, when there's a real trust there. That's when it's exceptional to men. But the act itself, it's all the same. So you will be used for relief, and then they will just move on. Let us continue. All right, so we talked about being average. I am happily average, but he said a lot of average women are unhappy. I say accept your standing and do the best with what you have, because men are just going to walk away from that. He talked a lot about the analogy of a car, and everybody wants the best that they can get, but because men do the asking and men do the purchasing, if you will, they're going to choose the best option. That's why he said as pretty as possible and as fit as possible. He said a lot of women are putting emphasis on the things that are important to them, that big job, that high-rise apartment, that degree, all that stuff. You care about that. The man doesn't. And if you don't know, ask him. Ask the type of men that you admire. What do you really love about a woman? What attracts you to a woman? And listen. I promise you they won't say her big book learning, like my man says. Sabrina says, to your point, I saw a recent post from a female celebrity who clearly wants a ready-made, very financially established man. She says she does not want to pressure any potential mate. So if you can't function in her circle or afford fine dining that takes his whole paycheck or have 30-day vacations, she was a bit harsh and will remain single. This female celebrity has been married to that type before and he humiliated her. Yeah, ladies, you can want what you want. Go ahead, have your wish list. I know people with 30 things on their checklist of what a man needs to have, still single. Okay. All right, so let us continue. So men, instead of buying a car that is uncomfortable, they'll take the subway, they'll Uber, they'll walk. You're not going to do it, ladies. So if this is the hill you want to die on, you might find yourself, I don't want to say dying alone, but you might find yourself aging alone. All right. So Kevin also said that a lot of women have met their match and they blew it. And that is the hardest one for me, but I just have to let the balloon go. But so many women, unfortunately, reach out after they've dropped the ball, after they met the man that they didn't think existed. They thought they were so much better than all the men that they've encountered. And then they found one that was like, oh my gosh, this is the one. But you were not prepared because you had so many bad dating experiences, because you've been out there doing all this other stuff. You didn't know what a real man requires. You didn't know that a real man requires anything. You thought being in a relationship was just looking cute and smiling pretty. You don't know how to read the room. You don't know how to assess his needs. You don't know how to anticipate and be a support system to him. You don't know how to be agreeable. You don't know how to not have to say everything that's on your mind. You don't know how to let him decompress and come to you when he's ready. You don't have relationship skills. So for the people who say, because I don't have a lot of dating experience, my advice isn't relevant. Well, 2 long-term relationships, I beg to differ. Or you can date for 20 years and see where that gets you, I guess. Let us continue. So Kevin said, a lot of you ladies had your man early on, but you blew it and you won early. And unfortunately, you will have that regret. So he said, ladies, you've got to listen to the men. And I think that's why a lot of women were in Kevin Samuel's space, because they wanted to be, at the foot of these caliber of men. But, if you have men of any caliber that are close to you, fathers, brothers, uncles, if you listen to them and don't shut them down, if you ask them, what they think about their women, what they think about you personally, if you're ready for it, or the type of women that they like or they don't like. Ladies, you can learn a lot by what men have to say if you're actually going to believe them. So many women think they know better. So many women dismiss men. And so you know what the men say? Fine, screw it. I'll just stop talking. And then you're scrambling, trying to figure it out. And they're like, we tried to tell you, you didn't want to listen. So many things, Kevin said, lose the weight, stop with the fake hair, stop with the attitude. Men have been saying that, but not only are women still overweight, with bad attitudes and fake hair, now he said we're adding on lashes and ridiculous nails and all this stuff. So basically, ladies, our actions are telling the men, I don't care what you think. So the men are saying, I don't care that you're alone. And where is that going to get us as a people? That's what I'm thinking about as I get older. I'm just looking at other cultures and other places. They're partnering up and they're moving on, and they're going to have, family and legacy and people who will speak their name when they're gone. You think that company that you worked for 20 plus years is going to remember you once you turned in your laptop? I see it all the time. I've been laid off 5 times and I've had big jobs, and that's great. But over the lifetime, ladies, that's not what really matters. We got the condemned in the house, and Jurgen is here. Thank you all so much for being here. All right. So Kevin said, listen to the men. Ladies, listen to the caliber of men that you want. Listen to them. They'll tell you, but you've got to get ready for it, because it's not going to be delivered with a pretty bow. It's going to come right at you. All right. So someone on Instagram said that you've met a lot of women in their 40s and 50s that still act like teenagers. And Kevin said in this episode, women from the ages of 24 to 50 are just daydreaming. And ladies, there's nothing wrong with daydreaming, I guess. I've always wanted a Barbie dream house too, but that's not the real world. Even this virtual social media is not the real world. That's why I'm going to be streaming less and doing more out in the real world, where you can actually connect with people and see real relationships, not behind a screen, being lazy, listen to someone complain about a life that they themselves don't even have. Don't get me started. I went off yesterday. All right. So you can be with a man, or he says you can be secure with your cats. Jeez. Ruthless. Okay. So let's see what else Kevin said in this episode. We talked about knowing what class you qualify for dating, luxury cars versus regular cars. Nothing wrong with that. I drive a Kia. I'm happy with it. And do you know what it requires to get what you want? At the end of this episode, Kevin was talking to 4 young ladies, I think 26 and under, and that was probably the hardest one for me. And just asking them, what do you want life to look like when you're 50? And it was just this pie in the sky. Oh, I want to retire in Spain. Oh, I want to be somebody's bad, you know what? Oh, they really hadn't thought it through. And ladies, let me give you a tip, especially in conversation with the caliber of men that we want. They have thought about the current, they have thought about the future, and even their legacy after they're gone. So you might want to do some work really thinking about what's realistic and be prepared to answer those questions. Another piece of advice that I'll give ladies, you have to be able to say what you want. I hear so many women tap dancing around it. Kevin would ask you, do you want children? Do you want to work? What percentage do you want to have to pay? Ladies, if you do not want to work outside of the home, if you want to be provided for, you need to say that. These are conversations that you need to have in the beginning. And now the man has the ability to say, okay, I'm willing to do that, or I'm not willing to do that. But ladies, this is the purpose of dating. It's not just to put on a dress and go to a restaurant that you can't afford by yourself and take a picture for Instagram for people that don't even like you. It's to see if this is a life match, right? So stop saying you want a partner when you want to be provided for. There's nothing wrong with that. Unless you want to get up at 6 a.m. and hit the bricks and you all both go do it and then come back together. And I guess the house is how it is. And, maybe you're eating takeout every day. I don't know. But ladies, you got to stop that daydreaming and really think about, what kind of life do I want? My man sat me down and he was like, look, this is what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to retire you early. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to cover this. I'm going to cover that. This is what I need from you. And he laid out everything. And we had a conversation. That is how you build a relationship. So everybody is clear on what is expected. If you just show up, look cute, get a new dress on, get your hair done, and you're just there, you haven't progressed at all. And then another year will go by and you have not really developed any relationship skills. All right. Dedicated to my children's future, says right on, Maggie. Kilo says exactly. I'm glad this is helpful. Rocky says, my husband is a real life superhero. Oh, I love this. I listen to everything that he says. I not only listen to him, I do whatever he says. A man like this is the prize, so I treat him as such. I love that. She knows what she has and she values what she has. And I would say, ladies, I'll speak for myself. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Isn't it wonderful when you have a man that you admire and you trust him implicitly? So ladies, you got to choose wisely. Pills, potions, and poisons, says Maggie, you're standing on business today. Oh, I'm glad you all appreciate it. Yes, I have a superhero. Yeah, he's a king. I am so impressed by him. I admire him so much. And here's the thing, ladies, I tell him. I don't just have an amazing man walking around and act like it couldn't be a different way. I am so grateful for him. I tell him all the time. And not only do I tell him, I show him, meaning I listen to the feedback. I've said this multiple times. Ladies, if your man compliments you on something, do more of that. My man compliments me. He's like, babe, you're so consistent. So I stay consistent. He said, babe, you're so easy to talk to. So I make sure that I have good conversation skills. Babe, you're always, hygiene is a big thing to him. He was like, you're just always so, and not done up, but you're just always so fresh. So I make sure I'm always so fresh. It's not hard. Likewise, ladies, if he gives you feedback that he doesn't like something, stop it immediately. If this is the type of man that you admire, why would you have these points of contention in your relationship? So if my man says, I don't want you working with that person, I don't work with that person. If my man says, yeah, I don't want you going places that I don't really know who's going to be there or whatnot, then I don't go to those places. Of course, if you want to do your own thing, you can argue people down. But to me, it doesn't make sense. I don't know why, but everybody's free to do whatever they want to do. Just E says, communication is so important. Instead of assuming, we should be on the same page. And it starts with knowing what you want and knowing how to communicate that to who you're with. Absolutely. Absolutely. My thought says, I'm about to head out to church. I feel this pre-service again. Thank you, Miss Maggie. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I'm about to go get the boys too. But ladies, it's true. You've got to know what you want. You've got to be able to say that. And if you really haven't taken time to think about it, I would give you that homework assignment. If you're young and still able to have the type of outcome that you want. Now, if the ship has sailed, you can want what you want, but the chances of getting it are very slim. But I think really asking yourself, like Kevin said in this episode, what do I qualify for? What's the best I can realistically ask for? And then be consistent and go with that. Because, if not, you're just going to be wasting time. And I guess you could just keep dating. I guess that's an option. Yeah, I know. We all have things that, we would change, but yeah, it's amazing. And we're better together, ladies. Kevin always used to say that this is what's important, real relationships, not all this foolishness that people are doing. And then you don't understand why you're miserable, why you're cranky, why you don't really have anything real. You got, purses and trips and trinkets and all the stuff that you've done. You've been flued out here and there, but nobody's checking in on you. Nobody really cares if you're healthy or well. The holidays come and go. Nobody's really thinking about you. Nobody's having quiet moments with you. Nobody knows what your favorite things are. You were just inexperienced. I hate to say it, but ladies, that's what a lot of you all are asking. That's what a lot of you all are allowing yourself to be. And we're not built for that. You will never be happy if you just continue to collect experiences. All right. So we appreciate the men. Like I said, nobody else is confused about this. It's a first world problem. Believe me, it's a modern world, modern woman thing. We know, or ladies, you should know, like Kevin said, we need to appreciate what men have done. And I think a lot of it goes unspoken because by the time we show up, ladies, they've already done the hard work. I remember I was on a podcast, I think it was Kaz TV, and he was talking about one of his wife's friends. And this vision, it just struck me because this woman was talking about how, oh, I love to go hiking and I love to be out in nature and I love to go do all this adventurous stuff. And she has these selfies of her on this trail and on this, mountain and all that. But he was like, none of that was there. It was just bush and wilderness. The men came through and tamed it and put the ropes up and did the walking path and made everything so that you can go and just be like, look at me with my backpack out here in the wilderness. Ladies, we're not ready for a world without men. Maybe over there, if you want to golden girl it up, you can. But even if you're going to do the golden girl thing, when you dial 911, you don't want me on the other end. You don't want me coming to rescue you when there's a fire. I cannot help you. So ladies, I don't know what this is about, dismissing men. We need them. I will be the one. My man has told me until the good ones start speaking up, everybody can get it. So I'm going on record saying we need the men. And Lord knows, as a boy mom, my expectations is that they pick someone who appreciates and respects them. Daughter of Yah says, can you name the episode you are reviewing, please? Yes. So this was Kevin Samuel's episode, and I did link it in the description. And I think it's Our Modern Woman Like the Hulk, Angry and Unhappy. Thank you, Bernard. I appreciate it. Underrated. The internet is forever. Hopefully this message will land and be helpful. If not, that is okay. Oh, thank you, Condemned. My moderators are amazing. Thank you all so much for all of the support. All right, so let's wrap this up. All right, so we talked about, oh my gosh, so much in this episode. So we need our men. We need to know where we stand. Don't go looking, for something that you don't qualify for because you're just going to continue to disappoint yourself. And then the cycle continues. Oh, I don't want to touch on this one. There was a woman that called in and her husband was in the background and allowing her to kind of go toe to toe with Kevin until she jumped in. Ladies, let me tell you something. Kevin went off because he was like, yeah, this is the problem, men caping for women or whatever. I don't like to get into that. But before I booked a session with the late, great Kevin Samuels, I asked my man. I said I would like to book a session with him. He said no. I was like, oh my God. Okay. And ladies, here's the thing. I've heard men, especially the men that we admire, say that the first answer is always no. It could be a no, not right now. It could be a no, full stop. It could be a no because I have another idea. So he gave me feedback that I wasn't clear on the purpose of this session. And so I had to explain to him my whole idea for the Wives Club and building this community of older women teaching the young and collecting women that were either wanting to be married or currently married or formerly married. And, basically reviewing Kevin's content from a woman's perspective. Hopefully women would be more apt to hear it. And then he said, okay. So my point is that, ladies, just running out in front, doing whatever you want to do, it's not helping you. If you have the type of man who's just going to let you, run into traffic head first, you're going to find yourself in a position where you're wanting that covering and they're going to be like, you got it. So if you have a man who has boundaries, if you have a man who requires more of you than just because I want to, respect that, because when you need that covering, it's so reassuring when it's there. Oh, thank you, DeAndre. Oh, I appreciate it so much. You all are so generous. Thank you. All right. So then Kevin moved on to the ethnic image, and this one is a big one for me. There was a woman arguing him down about well, that doesn't, these women don't speak for me and that doesn't apply to me. And he said, yes, it does. And you all know Kevin Samuels was an image consultant, but I say this on my cooking channels. I want to represent myself well and represent you all well. It's important, ladies. It breaks my heart when I meet people and they're just like, oh, you're so different. You all know what it means. We can do better. Circle back to the beginning. If 90% of men say modern women are unhappy and 88% of us say in his unscientific poll that we are unhappy, what is the experience when you're out here just living life, running errands with people that look like me? We can do better, ladies. And that's a choice. Life happens to all of us. Everybody has a story that'll bring a tear to your eye. I go through a lot that I don't talk about. But the world, what did Kevin say? The world doesn't owe us understanding. So yes, he was talking about how other cultures, like their actors don't take roles that are demeaning to them. Their men don't put on dresses just for a paycheck and all of this stuff. Ladies, you can argue if you want to, but people will allow you to make a fool of yourself. People will monetize your foolishness. People will benefit from your detriment. So don't think that it doesn't really matter. I just want to wear my bonnet to the airport. It matters. All right. Sabrina says, you've spoiled us, Maggie, but I completely get it. You do a lot and your relationship comes first. Absolutely. So that's why I say I'm here until I'm not, ladies. And I hope it's helpful. Hello, Christina. All right. So let's see what else Kevin said. Then I've got to go get the boys. So we talked about education, that communication. Ladies, men are not emotional. We are. All right. So make sure you're communicating with men. If all you have is just because I feel and it's not going to get you anywhere. This is why I said a lot of women who have just been dating haven't built relationship skills. And a big part of relationship skills is communication. I was asked to speak at a marriage conference and I did a speech on communication and how to talk to men, when to talk to men, the tone, the timing, all of that stuff. It's important. So if you take any of my courses, you get that as a bonus for free. You can go to teachablemomentswithmaggie.com. All right. So he said, men are the ones that are the mirror to what we want. So if you have a bunch of girlfriends that are telling you, yeah, you go, girl. Yeah, you look great. Yeah, go, sis. Ooh, that looks so cute. I love that blue hair and orange nail polish and all that. And the men are like, we don't like that. You got a decision to make. Who do you want to listen to? I get so much flack from women about my appearance. I do not care. My man likes it. That's what it is. So that's what I do, right? Communication is the key because ultimately I want to be with a man. I'm 50. I don't want to be a golden girl. All right. I'll be 50 this year. Year, big milestone. So Kevin also said fathers give that reality check. And like I said, if you all just came in, the first time that my dad told me I was beautiful was on my wedding day. And I was married at 25. And I think about that. And of course, my father loves me and he tells me all the time how proud he is of me. But I grew up being expected to earn it. I grew up being expected to work hard. I grew up with a father and a mother that gave that example for delayed gratification. So I wasn't a pampered princess. I wasn't, perfection. I have a lot of work to do still. All right. So that's what men give us, ladies, if you're open to receive it. So we talked about being ranked. We talked about, rich and wealthy, if that's what you want. We talked about the attitude and all the things we can do to get better. Oh, this one right here where this woman said, oh, just marry for love. Ladies, love is not enough. Love is great, but love is not enough. Men will love you and not marry you. Men will marry somebody that they don't love. So if you think love saves the day, again, you don't know how to pick a husband. If marriage is what you want, we're here in the Wives Club, so I'm thinking that's what you want. You can listen to the wife lessons, but you've got to know what's going to stand the test of time because you can love somebody and sometimes not like them. And that's just the real world, ladies. Again, if you think a relationship is every day we're going to be, happy together, that's not it. But there's a purpose, there's a bond, there's a reason why you all came together. And that's what you focus on when times are hard. right? Thank you, the International Quiet Storm, standing on business. Yeah, I came back on fire, right? Ebenezer says, Titus 2:3, likewise, teach the older women to be reverent in the way that they live, not to be slanderers or addicted to much wine, but to teach what is good. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm glad this is helping. Yes, think before you speak, ladies, because you can't take it back. Everything can't be fixed. So we talked about a nation is built on its men, and that's what I experienced in Ghana. When you're in a developing country where there's a lot of work to do, that's what my man said. It is very clear that men and women need each other. All right. Yes, absolutely. Older women should teach the young. That's why I booked that session with Kevin in 2021. All right. So we need our men to build. He said that in our community, women look at women first and then look at men. Men are an afterthought. But ultimately, ladies, if you want a real relationship, I and Kevin said this, we should consider what the men want first. Because ultimately, all these girlfriends that are telling you, you go girl, that's not what you want to wake up with. Or maybe it is. I don't know. But if you want a man, I would prioritize that man. Cammy says, you're so beautiful, Maggie, and so intelligent. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. You admire me. I'm grateful. Rochelle says, I'm so happy to hear that you're taking the time to teach women how to have a wife mindset. Oh, thank you. I'm glad this is helpful. Ebenezer says, you're doing God's work. Keep it up because families are getting destroyed and society is the worst for it. That is what has really been on my mind as I get older. This is a big year, you all. I'll be 50 this year. Marcus will be 18, graduating, going to the Marines. Just so much is happening in life. And if God willing, I live to 100, I'm on the decline now. So what really matters and what's really important? And it's family. Of course, faith, family, all of that. But what is the purpose if you just work and then you die? Does anybody even know that you were here? That's what I've been thinking about lately. Let us continue. So listen to the men, ladies. Men speak like men. Don't expect them to woo, woo, woo you. I had one on the phone with me today giving me the business, one of our biggest sponsors. But I listen and I humbly take the correction, right? Because I'm the better for it. If you're only with the type of men, he said, that tickle you or tickle your ears, it's not helping you. So ladies, if all the men that you've had experience with grovel at your feet, if you are the best thing since sliced bread, if they are just so happy and googly eyed to be around you, that is not preparing you for a relationship with a real man. I've told you all, I got my feelings hurt when I asked my man one day, I was like, what would life be like without me? He looked dead at me and said the same. I hope you're here, but it's not going to stop me if you're not. So that's a man, lady. So if you're not okay with that, I don't know what to tell you. And I love him and he loves me, but he had to let me know that he has a purpose and I'm not getting in the way of that. And I accept that. Thank you all so much. Yeah, Ghana is beautiful. I am going back, and if you all want to come with me, we're having an interest meeting in a couple of weeks. Go to the link in the description. There's a Google form. If you want to know, I'm going back to Ghana in December. Sabrina loves the style. Oh, thank you. International Quiet Storm with the $5 says, I see so many ladies in the chat thanking Maggie for her gems. I have one question. Which one of you will replace Maggie? Mm, wow. I'm speechless. And that is rare. Many consume, few give back. We might just have to wrap it up, y'all. I've been thinking a lot about this, and that's why I had my outburst yesterday. I'm really floored right now. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, on that note, it's a wrap. I think we're going to shut it down right now. Thank you all so much. To I'm wow. Hmm. Okay, so thank you all. I am really speechless. I don't know how to answer that. Hmm. Okay, Thank you all so much. Thank you so much, Kevin Samuels. Gone too soon. Like I said, I'm Maggie, the substitute teacher. I make food and femininity content. So in 2025, your cooking content will be Monday and Friday. So if you're here for cooking, we'll be cooking tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern, about, and then Friday. And then your femininity or relationship content will be on Wednesdays and Saturdays with Lucy. I may pop in from time to time like this when I review Kevin Samuels' content. But again, Kevin changed my life, and I'm determined to keep his name in the algorithm. So the Wives Club will be here whenever Kevin's channel posts new content, and I will just give you all my perspective as an older woman with relationship experience, with marriage experience, with motherhood experience, with life experience. All right. So hopefully it's helpful. And yeah, thank you all so much. Yeah, thank you, the International Quiet Storm. I'm gonna let you all have it, and I'm gonna go get the boys from their dads, and I will see you all tomorrow for another cooking stream. Yes, this will always be on replay. So on my channel, on the Wives Club channel, it's all there. And if you're in the Patreon, the old stuff is there too. So yes, it'll be available for you all. Thank you. Let me thank the donations that came in. Thank you, Suave D, for the $5. Thank you, the Pink Pill, for the $4.99. Thank you, Suave D, again for the $5. And then the International Quiet Storm came through and shut it down. So bye, everyone.